Big, bigger. The people in today's video. While men like Yao Ming and Shaquille O'Neal have gone on to global careers as NBA stars, extreme height is a huge burden for other people. Both physically and mentally, many human giants can only dream of the things that are commonplace for most of us. Because there are two sides to the size medal, and an entry into the Guinness Book of Records is always associated with great suffering and sad fates. On average, a 4-year-old child is between 95 and 112 centimeters tall, but the American Robert Wadlow already measured 1.63 meters at that time. Born on February 22, 1918 in Alton, Illinois, Robert's unchecked growth would continue until his death. While he surpassed his 1.82-meter tall father at the age of 8, 2 years later, he also broke the 2-meter mark. At the end of his life, his height was an incredible 2.72 meters, meaning that Robert Wadlow is still the tallest person in history whose height had been proven beyond doubt. Robert's hands and feet were also included in the Guinness Book of Records. These were 32.3 and 47 centimeters long, respectively, the latter being equivalent to a shoe size 76. But what actually made him so incredibly tall? Well, the height record actually had a very serious medical background. Robert had a so-called pituitary adenoma, a tumor that secreted enormous amounts of growth hormones. As a result of the rapid growth, Robert's bones were severely affected, which is why he could only walk with the aid of special leg braces. Robert Wadlow died of an infection on June 15, 1940. He was only 22 years old. The coffin in which his body was laid measured almost 3.3 meters and had to be carried by 12 men. In his hometown of Alton, a life-size statue still commemorates the greatest man the world has ever seen. This is the tallest man alive. While Robert Wadlow is no longer with us, Sultan Kasin from Turkey still lives in his apartment in Ankara. With a height of 2.51 meters, he is a proud 70 centimeters taller than the average German man. Born in 1982 in the municipality of Durek, Sultan had an extreme growth spurt at the age of 10. The reason for this was a benign tumor behind his eye, which was surgically removed in 2008. However, despite the surgery, the tumor grew again and affected other parts of his brain. In 2010, the tumor was then treated with so-called gamma knife radiosurgery. With success, Sultan has not grown any more since the treatment. However, the previous growth has left clear traces, as muscles and joints cannot support his huge body on their own. He is dependent on walking aids. In addition, the tallest man alive will not be able to realize some dreams that most of us take for granted. For example, he won't be able to get a driver's license because he simply won't fit into a car. Andre the Giant was a giant on the glass. Wrestling legend, actor, and a luminary at the bar, Andre the Giant is remembered by the world in many ways. Growing up in France, the son of Polish-Bulgarian immigrants went by the real name Andrei Rene Roussimoff. In detail, he suffered from the growth disorders acromegaly and giant stature, although it is not entirely clear how tall the so-called eighth wonder of the world really was. Depending on the source, his height is sometimes given as 2.13 meters and sometimes as 2.24 meters. At the same time, he weighed around 240 kilograms. After Roussimoff had shaken up the European wrestling scene, he switched to the predecessor of the WWE in the early 70s. Over time, he became the bitter archenemy of Hulk Hogan. The showdown of the feud finally took place at WrestleMania 3 in 1987. While Hulk Hogan's scripted victory went down in wrestling history, Andre's health was already in serious decline at the time. As he was struggling with severe back problems, the legendary match was choreographed as gently as possible. However, appearing in the ring and starring in films such as The Princess Bride were not the only things Andre was known for. According to the stories of his companions, he was also a huge drinker. Jake the Snake, who had worked as a driver for Andre among other things, said he had drank 84 beers on a 1-hour car journey. Andre confirmed the story and stated that he even downed 119 beers on another evening. What sounds quite amusing at first might have been an extremely sad reason. as he had a low life expectancy due to his illness and also suffered from severe chronic pain. Many believe that Andre drank so much to numb himself. He died of heart failure in a Paris hotel room at the age of just 46. This man had to be set in concrete after his death. Before he was surpassed by Robert Wadlow in the 1930s, John Rogan was considered the tallest person who ever lived at 2.67 meters, and in fact, Rogan is still the tallest person of African descent. Until he was 13 years old, however, this was not at all foreseeable. Born the son of a free slave on February 13, 1868, John's body only began to grow abnormally fast in his early teens. At 14, he was no longer able to walk or even stand upright. The reason for this was ankylosis, a complete stiffening of the joints. As a result, John was unable to work. From then on, he earned his living by selling postcards and portraits of himself. As was not uncommon at the time, John was also offered several jobs at fairs and so-called freak shows, all of which he turned down. He died on September 12, 1905, as a result of ankylosis. He was buried under a massive layer of concrete to prevent onlookers from exhuming him. This giant shrank. John F. Carroll is still the third tallest person in history. But although the American born in 1932 measured a proud 2.64 meters, he seemed to shrink more and more over time. But what does that mean? Well, due to a curvature of the spine, his standing height was only 2.44 meters. And because the condition of his back steadily worsened, his standing height also became lower and lower, so that in 1968, it was only 2.34 meters. At the same time, the extraordinary growth of the Buffalo Giant continued until his death in 1969. The doctors had simply not succeeded in getting the acromegaly giantism under control. The operation that made him a giant. With a height of 2.57 meters, Leonidstadnik missed the height podium by 7 centimeters. However, the reason for the Ukrainian's unchecked growth was not a congenital disease, but a serious operation that he had to undergo at the age of 13. After the necessary brain surgery, a tumor developed that pressed on the pituitary gland, an endocrine gland about the size of a pea, and set the unchecked growth in motion. Weighing more than 200 kilograms, Leonid's shoe size was 68, and although he was now listed in the Guinness Book of Records as the tallest living person, he did not like his extraordinary size or the limelight. Leonidstadnik worked as a vet and lived with his mother in his birthplace of Podoyancy. He died of a stroke in 2014 at the age of 44. This woman was bigger than Yao Ming. Until his retirement in July 2011, Yao Ming was the tallest active player in the NBA at 2.29 meters. But when it comes to the question of the tallest NBA player of all time, there is no way around the Romanian Gheorghe Marizan. The center was another 2 centimeters taller than the Great Wall. But even apart from their NBA careers, Yao Ming and Gheorghe Marizan have one thing in common. They were both significantly shorter than Shaquille. Born in 1616, the Dutch woman was nicknamed De Grote Meid, and quite rightly so. In the year of her death, she was 9 Amsterdam feet tall, which is an equivalent of 2.55 meters. And even today, some 400 years later, she is still considered the tallest woman ever measured in the world. To earn some extra money, Trenkta's parents regularly presented their daughters at fairs. Once she was even presented to King Frederick V as an attraction. In the end, however, the greatest woman of all time only lived to the age of 17. She probably died of a malignant tumor. If you want to get an impression of Trenkta's unrivaled size, you can visit the museum in her hometown of Edam. A life-size oil painting from 1633 hangs there. This woman is fighting for more acceptance. In the fall of 2021, it became official. The Guinness Book of World Records awarded Romesa the title of the tallest living woman in the world. The reason why is the Turkish woman is 215.16 centimeters tall, as Weaver syndrome, a disease caused by mutations in the EZH2 gene and characterized, among other things, by tall stature. Romesa is dependent on a wheelchair most of the time, although she can also walk with the help of a rollator. She uses the attention she receives as an advocate for other people with rare diseases. She is convinced that every disadvantage can be turned into an advantage and lives by the motto, "Accept yourself as you are." The tallest Indian died during a brain operation. When Vikas Uppal was 18 years old, he was 2.51 meters tall and weighed 195 kilos and was still growing. Some sources state that he was even 2.67 meters tall, but others indicate that he was only 2.46 meters. As Vikas Uppal was not measured by Guinness, there is no reliable data on this. However, he is said to have had hands 33 centimeters long and feet 48 centimeters long. Vikas also appeared in a Bollywood film, Rang de Basanti. He died in 2007 at the age of 21 during a failed brain tumor operation in Delhi. The sad fate of Yao Deffin. According to the Chinese media, Yao Deffin was 2.36 meters tall. The Guinness Book of Records listed her as 2.33 meters tall. Just like Robert Wadlow, the Chinese woman also suffered from a tumor in her pituitary gland. Doctors discovered the tumor after she fainted while playing basketball as a teenager. Yao Deffin was later sold by her own parents to a traveling circus, where she was presented to onlookers as an attraction. In 2006, the then 34-year-old's health was classified as life-threatening, and a tumor was removed. 3 years later, the Chinese woman had a serious fall and suffered massive head injuries. She was confined to bed until her death on November 23, 2012. Press subscribe now and never miss a new video again.